So, this is the first episode of what I'm going to call Get to Know. It's going to hopefully be a weekly or more than weekly series where I interview various people in bodybuilding. So, in the IFBB, that's the main bodybuilding league, and that's going to be in the men's categories and the women's categories, and just give you guys an insight into sort of what got them to where they are, how the sort of sport works in general, and hopefully give you guys some tips. For the first installment, I've got Jared Keys joining me. So he turned pro in the Junior USAs in 2021. And yeah, this is a conversation I had with him. Hopefully it entertains you guys. Yeah, I guess I just want to hop straight in and just sort of get like understanding of, I guess, the podcast in general. I want to try and make it so that it gives people introduction to everyone in the IFBB and sort of anyone in the zone, and just give a bit of context to the sport. So for you, what was like your start into bodybuilding? Like, what was your sort of I guess most basic motivator at the start of all this?
Yeah, man. So, long story short, I started bodybuilding in 2015. I was 17 years old, and I had actually just graduated high school. Yeah,
Okay.
so it
You were
was
jacked
something.
in school then, you were that guy.
Man, I wasn't like super big, but yeah, I was that kid that was always in the gym. That kid that
Yeah.
was always working out, always. Because I played football as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so that kind of like built the background for me playing
Yeah.
football. I loved training and building muscle, stuff like that, trying to get
Yeah.
ready. So, uh, long story short, man, I ended up meeting a fitness model like in the mall one time, and he was just like, "Oh
Uh,
yeah, I do competitions." And I was like, "Okay,
okay.
yeah, man." So I
That's
just I
sweet.
just kind of got into it back then. But back then, I only did men's physique. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, now I do classic, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Yeah. You jumped straight into classic. I saw that about. So you turned pro 2021.
yeah, turned pro in 2021 at the Junior USA's.
Yeah, and then you've been top 10 in every show,
Most shows, yeah,
and
most
top
shows.
five in like 4 out of 5 of them, wasn't it?
Most shows I've been top 10. Yes, I think I can't remember how many top fives I've got. My first season I had two top fives.
Yeah.
My second season I didn't have any top fives, but I did get top eight.
Okay.
And then this most recent season I had two. So
So that's a
yeah,
mad start, especially for classic. Like, it's the amount of competitors in classic at the moment is ridiculous.
thank you, man.
So like
Yeah,
that's a sick start.
thank you very much. Yeah, honestly, like my first season I got a third, so I was two places away from
Okay.
making team. Yeah.
Yeah.
So since then it's been kind of just trying to get back, try to
Yeah.
catch that.
Yeah. Were you watching it this year?
What's up, side?
The Olympia? Were you watching it this year?
Yeah, man, watched it. Yeah, dude, it was it was a good Olympia. What do
Yeah,
you
I
what do you
was.
think about it?
Yeah. What did I think? Yeah, I'm happy Samson won. I was pretty chuffed. Being from the UK, that was like a big one for us, so I'm super happy with that.
Yeah.
That's a big one for me. Classic. I was sort of shocked at how big ours was.
Yeah, Ertz came in a lot
He
better than
was
Arnold.
huge this year. I thought I did not expect him to be that big. And then Mike coming in second,
That was a
he
surprise. Yeah.
came out of nowhere. So that was class from both of them.
Real quick, this is my daughter. She's just woke up from a
Oh,
nap.
do
Say hello.
you go to
Let me,
the
let me
gym?
get her ready to relax. I'll be right back, man. Just a second.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. That's
Yeah,
great.
sorry about that. Yeah, man. So I have two kids.
Oh,
Uh,
that's sweet. How's
yeah,
balancing that with bodybuilding? Cause sometimes I feel like guys either think it's like so all encompassing, they've no time for anything else, or because you can like schedule it so much with your meals and your training that they find it okay for balancing it with things.
you said. I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Sorry,
With the kids.
so
I
like,
had to turn up the volume.
oh, sorry, like how do you find balancing that with bodybuilding?
It's really that's a good question. You kind of have to come at it where it's like I'm trying to balance bodybuilding and being a father at the same time.
Yeah,
So it's like that. Those two things in and of itself always take priority. It's like okay,
yeah,
if I have to do this with the girls, okay, I'll make sure I do that. And if I have to do cardio, I'll always make sure I
yeah.
do my cardio, that kind of thing. But luckily, my fiance, she helps a lot with the kids.
Okay, sick. Yeah,
We're together, so that makes it a lot easier.
yeah,
And she definitely deserves like a special award, VIP
yeah.
award, super award for that one.
What's your split look like then? Are you like a low volume guy, high volume guy?
Yes, yeah. So I'm in the off season right now, so we're
Okay.
definitely doing a bit lower volume,
Okay. Nice.
higher intensity. So
Yeah.
like 6 to 8 reps,
Okay.
that type of training. 12 reps is the highest.
Yeah.
But in terms of my split right now, I'm doing an arm day. So we've got an isolated
Okay.
arm day. I do a back day. Then I do either a hamstring or a quad focus leg day.
Yeah.
Then usually I run either 1 or 2 days off. So 3 days on, 1 day off, or 3 days on, 2 days off.
Yeah.
I'll come back and I'll hit legs again, and then I'll hit. Did I say back already? I said back.
I think so.
Arms, back, legs, off, legs, and then chest. But
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
actually.
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. You're fine. I
No,
was
you're good.
I was saying I'm actually healing a torn pec, all
Oh
right, or a
shit.
partial pec tendon as well.
Oh god.
Um,
What was that from?
that was actually it was really really weird. Not from one specific exercise.
Okay.
It was one of those things where I felt it getting worse, getting worse, getting worse, getting worse.
Uh.
And then one day when I went to train, I couldn't lift 40% of like
Yeah.
what my max was. That day I couldn't like move my arm above my head and everything. So it wasn't like like I didn't hear a pop. I didn't feel it on a
Yeah.
certain lift or anything like that. But it was like one day I just came in and it just was like it was just gone. Like the strength was just gone on
Oh,
it.
touch wood. I've not had any injuries yet, so
Dude, that's
hopefully,
a good
hopefully that
thing.
continues.
Yeah, dude. Seriously, I'm hoping for you for that.
Yeah,
Injuries
for
are like
sure.
they suck, man. They come and go, but it's like if you have a good mentality about it, you handle them
Yeah.
the right way,
Yeah.
you can prevent them from getting a lot worse. But I'm
Yeah. And
also
will you like completely neglect chest then, or will you almost? Because I know some guys go for the like train the opposite side and that helps it recover, or you just
yeah.
like completely leave it.
What I try to do like for my rehab is I usually try to come back to doing like very light exercise immediately.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
kind of just match it across the board.
Yeah.
Whatever that left chest can do, the right one, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you still doing cardio then?
A little bit, not a whole
Yeah.
lot right now, like 3 or 4 times a week at the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah. I feel like that's pretty standard. And then what about prep? Do you ramp that up? Do you like start low and ramp it up as you go, or do you start heavy and then sort of try and
Yeah.
tailor it down as you go on?
I kind of start more moderate. So
Yeah.
cardio for me is usually like 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay.
Like I said, 3 to 4 days a week. And then as I
Yeah.
start to ramp it up, I'll go up to 5 or 6 days a week.
Yeah. Okay.
Early on if I have to,
Yeah.
and then at the very end, I try not to, but I'll go 7 days a week if I have to as
Yeah.
well. Yeah,
So
I
you
try
find
not to.
prep. How do you find prep then? Are you pretty easy on prep, or are you struggling?
I love prep, honestly. Like I
Yeah.
really love to compete, man. Like it's honestly my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
So prep for me, it gives me a lot of time to kind of like really dig deep into myself and find a
Yeah.
deeper level of passion.
Yeah. You find
Where
out a
it's
lot
like,
about yourself.
yeah, dude, like it's crazy. You finish a prep and you're like, wow, man, like I feel like I'm not really doing anything with my life. It's like I'm still doing a lot of other things, but
Yeah.
that prep, it's almost like it gives me a lot of purpose.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. How do you find like brain fog on prep and stuff? Are you good with that, or
You said with what prep? I'm sorry.
like brain fog? Like you just because I
Brain
know
fog.
some guys go into it and they're like, oh, like it helps me focus, but then when it gets to that like 3 4 weeks out, you're gone.
You're locked in, bro. Like my brain fog is it's weird because I love to read. I love
Oh
to
yeah,
read. But it'll get to a point where like I'm reading the pages, like my eyes are just too tired to like read the words. I'm
yeah,
like, let me put this book down for the day, or it'll be bad, man. Say for instance, I'm watching a little bit of Netflix or something. I'll be like,
yeah.
I can't watch this anymore. I gotta go to
Really,
bed.
just attention span goes.
Yeah, like no attention
Yeah,
span whatsoever. Like it's got to be something really positive, really like an anime or something like that. It's gonna
yeah,
keep me
yeah.
going.
Keep you
Otherwise,
hooked.
yeah. Otherwise, I'm like, good night, like good riddance. I can't watch a football game and in
Yeah,
prep.
yeah. That's about it. And then what about see? Because obviously for classic, you guys, the posings is much bigger aspect than I guess almost any other of the divisions. Are you doing that like your cardio? Are you doing that daily during prep and off season, or is it mandatories, or is it routine? Like,
Good
what's the
question.
posing approach?
In prep, I would say it's a pretty daily thing for me. I try to focus on like I'll kind of just start off with the mandatories, quarter turns, things like
Yeah,
that, and then I'll kind of go on to trying new poses,
yeah,
maybe even work some basic routine work.
okay,
Um, that's pretty much every day for me when I'm in prep. In the off season, um, right now I'm not as focused on trying to learn new elements or anything like that with my posing.
mm,
So I'm still practicing 3 to 4 days a week. And
okay,
practicing I would say the last elements that I kind of learned, like the transitions and things like that, that I was
yeah,
last learning. that's kind of like my daily practice now when I do
Okay.
go to the gym and train and hit my
Yeah.
coach. But like, I guess really the difference is like in prep, I'm waking up, most mornings, coming right here in this backdrop, hitting
Yeah.
my posting like pretty much every single morning.
Yeah.
And then I'll
Okay.
maybe post again at the gym after I train.
Yeah. And
Versus
just
now,
dial
it's
that in. Yeah.
exactly like for now, it's pretty much just after I train.
Okay. And do you go into much detail? Like, so do you have a coach?
I don't actually. I don't
Okay.
have a coach. I work with a few coaches though, coming up and things like that.
Okay. So have you prepped yourself for the last few shows?
Yes, yeah, I have. This whole last
Ah,
season, well, pretty much every coach I've actually prepped myself for, but
really? Fuck,
I've
that's
had some help in
mad.
between.
How have
Yeah.
you found that?
It's different, man. Like I
Yeah.
love the process of learning, like myself, and
Yeah.
learning personally, like what the judges are looking for and how that applies to me.
Yeah.
But with that being said, like I'm not gonna sit here and say that like it would have been beneficial for me to have worked with coaches earlier on. But at the end of the day, like I can say right now that I genuinely understand. Kind of like I wouldn't get cocky or anything like that, but I genuinely understand how this process works
Yeah.
very, very well
Yeah. Well,
now.
the other thing is then if you go to get a coach in the future, you can bring things to him. If you feel like you're flat or you know what something's going to do to you on prep week, you can at least inform him of that. Whereas
Yeah,
I think most guys get into that situation, they're just sort of like, they do exactly what the coach says, and they don't even know what's going on themselves. And then if something goes wrong, they can't tell the coach because they don't know.
being able to have like that back and forth with a coach, especially at the pro level, I think is everything because
Yeah.
I've had like top coaches. I've had conversations with some of the top coaches in the industry, and the
Yeah.
conversation isn't like how to count your food, how to train, how to go in there. It's more like you giving me the feedback, us giving the feedback back and forth,
Yeah.
and the coach being more experienced or more
Yeah.
objective, kind of
Yeah.
creating that plan of action.
Yeah. I think the main one too for that is like those last few weeks where either you're like, oh, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, but you're shredded and you're just going and going and going.
You start to
Uh,
get in your head, man.
yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's a part that would feed into major, and it would be that last part of like, right, last 3 weeks, I just need someone to take the reins. So I'm not sitting there thinking I'm fat when I'm 1% and you're almost there.
Almost there. I
That would
think
be
it's
the issue for
important,
me.
man. I mean, if you do decide to be self-coach, I think it's important to be very objective. And being objective, it's having
Yeah.
those people around you, who
Yeah.
you can still talk
Yeah.
to. Your good friends. You're like, hey, do I look good or not? Like straight
Yeah.
up.
For sure. For
It's
sure.
gotten to the point
Definitely.
though, like it's funny, man. Like the more you move up, the more you realize there's fewer and fewer people you can really talk to when it comes to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because when you're an amateur, everybody who has done as much as you have or better, they got a pretty good opinion. But
Yeah.
once you get to that point where you're doing better than most of the people
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh damn, okay, well, I can only talk to certain people,
Yeah. Because
only
everyone
access.
thinks you look unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. Like it gets to a point where it's like, okay, like don't tell me something bad,
Yeah.
tell me
Yeah. You
something
need to
bad.
like pick out something bad. Yeah. Yeah. For
But
sure. But that's the
that,
thing as well. I think most people have that like stereotype that bodybuilders are all almost like insecure and don't want to be told the thing. But I think every single one of them, they don't want to hear what's good. Like they know what's
yeah,
good. They want to hear what needs to be improved. And that's, I guess, where the coach comes in again of like, especially if you can get yourself like a high level one who almost doesn't give a shit. He will just tell you outright.
tell you how
He'll be like,
it is.
look, you're shit here. You need to get better.
It's funny, man. Matt Jansen was the coach who helped me turn
Oh
pro
yeah,
in
seriously.
2021.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, Matt Jansen. So what I'm saying, that high level, directiveness,
Yeah.
like that.
Sure. And
That's
that time he would have had like he would have been with Nick. He would have
yeah,
been with all
Nick,
those top guys.
Sean,
Yeah.
all the guys. Yeah,
That's how'd you
Derek,
find him?
or not Derek, but not Derek, but Brett. Excuse me, Brett
Yeah.
Wilkin.
How did you find
How did
him?
I find out? It's funny, man. I was working with a different coach, and he was a good coach, but I had a pretty steep weight cut in order to turn pro. I had to lose like 20 pounds,
Oh
and I was
jeez.
already starting to get pretty good conditioning. Yeah. So long story short, he didn't really want to push me to that point. He didn't think that it was too possible,
Yeah.
um, with how much weight I had to lose.
Okay.
Um, so kind of last minute, I reached out to a few different coaches, to get their opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, like he was more of like a layup, like okay, this is one of my dream coaches. We'll see if we get a response type of
Yeah.
thing. And he responded right away. And out of all the coaches who I reached out to, some who are I wouldn't say quite on his level, below his level, things like
Yeah.
that, who were telling me, "Oh, it can't be done." That sounds crazy. But like
Yeah.
you would never. He was the first one to just straight up be like, "Okay, like we could definitely do it," and I
Okay.
think he'll probably win. So
Yeah. That's sick. That's great. It must be so good to get. Was he your first coach?
he wasn't my first, but
Okay.
he was definitely my first like top level coach
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
that's a good one to get early on. Get that insight to how they work.
Oh, sure, for sure. Yeah,
And did
man.
you
I mean, it
find like,
taught me,
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it just taught me like there's a level of professionality that
Yeah,
you can't really say that you have it until you get to that level.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And was he just like how personable is that when you're working with a coach that good? Is that just emails, or is he calling you? Are you like getting FaceTime with him, or how's that work?
With Matt, it would
Yeah.
depend on really where we were. It was
Okay.
mostly we would pretty much text, text message on I
Yeah.
wouldn't say every single day, but about 3 times a week. With
Okay.
me already being within 8 weeks of my competition,
Yeah.
we did FaceTime a few times. Kind of just about clearing up on some quick things, little things like that here and there.
Yeah.
But I will say, I mean, I did have access to call him if there was ever an emergency
Okay.
or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Because that's one thing I always think about with those top guys. I'm like, I'd be so scared of them. Just not so scared, but like in my head, I'd be like, are they gonna naturally? Obviously, if like you're working with Nick and Sean and those guys call you up, they're gonna be up here, and I'm gonna be
Now,
like pushed down a bit.
it's cool. Like it was a good thing for me personally because
Yeah.
I saw myself before I even turned pro. I just wanted to, build a name for myself, and that's kind of what I had in mind,
Okay.
going into the season, and everything. So to be able to be under those guys, and to kind of see, like for me, when I didn't necessarily like I know people, everybody kind of wants a certain level of attention from their coach
Yeah.
and things like that. And I'm not gonna say like I don't think I was ever neglected any attention that I
Hmm.
got, but I
Yeah.
also knew that if I wanted more attention, I needed to do something worthy of getting that attention, like
Yes. Yeah.
following the plan,
Yeah.
showing improvements,
Yeah. For sure.
doing something that was difficult. Like that to
Yeah.
me, like if I wasn't doing those things, then there would be no reason for us to really have a
Yeah. Yeah.
conversation.
Well, that's a perfect way to look at it. Like, take your own responsibility of it and not be like, oh, he's not giving me attention type
Oh,
of
like
thing. Like,
yeah,
yeah, take
it's like
responsibility.
it's funny because I've always been kind of like the backseat, like the second string, third string type of guy. Like it's funny I say that, but growing up in high school, there's a track runner. His name's Grant Holloway. He's a
Okay.
Olympic world medal. He's got like all kinds of medals, all kinds of stuff like that in the
Yeah.
hurdles right now. He was one of my training partners in high school.
Oh, what?
So
That's
it wasn't even just him. Like there was other great athletes that are professional
yeah.
athletes now and things like that. So I say that to say that like to know that I'm not always like the spotlight's not always going to be on me. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
get that.
That's good. You know how to share it. Yeah, that's good. What about then upcoming year? Have you any competitions planned? Have you entered anything? Or
I don't have anything quite planned right now. I would say that right now my main focus is kind of just kind of redevelop my physique. I want to get a lot bigger,
okay.
a lot more muscularity. That way, you saw those top fives. I want to go from getting those top fives to getting those top twos, those
Yeah,
wins
for
and things
sure.
like that. So I do think that that's going to require a different level of muscularity from me.
Okay.
Uh, with that being said, I'm gonna take probably the rest of this year off,
Yeah.
and then I'll probably start prep at some point early next year. And
Okay.
then like I'm not really the type of person anymore. I used to like to try to jump into shows, and I did that a little bit last year. And I went, okay,
Yeah.
it's a lot better to just plan it out and know where you want to go
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
So
For
I
sure.
want to
Well,
do
it
that.
gives you that full structure, like off season, and you can really know what you want to develop, and then bring it into the show fully.
Bingo, like
You don't
all
have to
day,
reset
man,
yourself.
all day. Because like I did have a shorter off season last year. Like it wasn't super short, but it was shorter. Like it was from September until my first show was in April last
Okay.
year.
Yeah.
So I mean that wasn't a super short off season, but at the same time, like you said, there were definitely some improvements that could have been made with a longer
Okay.
off season. So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. For sure. Yes. Well, then, what do you think you need? What's your main, like, just overall muscularity or like specific body parts?
good question. My feedback from the judges was pretty consistent throughout this year. Last year was that they wanted me to come in a bit bigger, and especially in the back,
Yeah.
and then a little bit more arm size. And then
Okay.
I think personally with me, I think with bringing that balance of the bigger arms, bigger back, a little bit more of just everything else, chest, legs. So as
Yeah.
always, you can have everything bigger. But in
Yeah.
seriousness, main focus will be back. Second focus will
Okay.
be to repair the chest and then bring it back up to 100%. And
Yeah.
then last focus will be just overall size.
Yeah. 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 And do you think you'll want to? Are you aiming to like progress into open one day, or are you happy like just maxing out classic?
Good question, man. Like I get closer and closer every year to maxing out classic,
Yeah.
and there has
What height are
been.
you?
I'm 5'6". Yeah,
Okay.
5'6". I'm
Okay.
more
So what the
212.
weight class is like? What
One
one?
ninety two.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah.
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 So to put that in perspective, I haven't been below 220 since like the week of the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah, I walk around like 230, 240
Okay.
most off seasons. So
Yeah.
it's kind of funny coming all the way down to 192. But
Yeah.
then Keon, like I know Keon, so he just won the 212, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
quite that big yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think he's an anomaly, isn't he?
He
He's
really is,
flipping.
man.
He just doesn't look right. It looks like it's like photoshopped or it's AI or like
The
it's
proportions,
crazy.
yeah, it's perfect.
It is crazy. And like even the jumps he'd make, because I remember watching, was it? It must have been even as close as 2 or 3 years ago where he got like 14th just because he came off unconditioned.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. It
But
was like
even
3 years.
then, you see it, and when you first see him walk out, you're like, like
Incredible. Yeah,
what
that's
is this? Unbelievable.
I'm really
But
happy for Keon, man. Like he's the type of guy. He's a hard worker. He's a really,
yeah,
really, just head down, good person. Like
yeah,
he's the type of guy where he's in my DMs if I'm going back and forth with somebody, talking crap. He's in my DMs saying, "Yo, like you're above that. Like why are you even
yeah.
responding to these
That's
people?"
good. That's good. So he got a bad rap as well, didn't he? When did he pull out? Was it 2 years ago? He pulled out,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
he got. I feel like he got
yeah.
a bit. He got trashed for that pretty badly.
He really did, man. I mean, people didn't understand, but it's like he came out about it. He tried to be upfront about it, but he had some mental health issues and things like
Yeah,
that that he had to address.
because it's almost like you can't win with that. Like you come out and you're honest, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's not a good enough excuse." And then
Yeah,
you do what Nick did this year, and you don't say much, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're not telling us anything."
yeah, dude, it's crazy. I think, like, respectfully, I think Nick's situation almost gives Keon's situation more respect,
For
where it's
sure,
like,
it
hey,
does.
like, you
Yeah,
don't know what people are going through. You
that's
really
the
don't.
thing.
And
Exactly.
it's one thing to kind of like tell people as early as you possibly can. It's another thing to kind of
Yeah,
like I don't
the
really want to speak too much
timing.
about the Knicks situation because I just honestly don't know that much.
No,
But
but the timing was interesting.
no,
It's
I
like,
don't. I don't agree with the timing. And
yeah,
I don't think. I mean, respectfully, I don't think that they even agreed with it necessarily. On
yeah,
however they had to come to their conclusion.
yeah, yeah. No, that was definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, dude. Interesting for
Um,
sure.
but yeah, so that's what you think. Then you think you'll still go class again for a few more years, or
That's a good question. That's a really good question. I'm gonna do a little bit more research. Well, I'm gonna talk to one of the things I want to do before I go back into my next season is I do want to talk to Steve, all the guys and Steve Weinberger, all the judges up
yeah,
there, and kind of just say, hey, like where like my biggest question for them isn't necessarily like, do you think I can win a classic? It's more of like, where do you see me doing the best? That's kind
yes,
of thing.
yeah, for sure. That's true. How much access do you guys? I guess maybe you can only speak for yourself. Like, how much access do you guys get to the judges like that to ask them things?
I would say pretty
Yeah,
good access, especially if you've already like competed, you built some kind of relationship with them.
yeah,
Because I mean, a lot of judges, you could probably send them your pictures and say, hey, would you tell me if I'm going in the right direction, or would you tell me
mm-hmm,
if there's any improvements that I should make, or
mm-hmm.
do you think that I'm making the improvements that you previously mentioned? Things like
Yeah,
that. I feel like it's pretty fair game. And then if you go up to New York, to Bev's gym, like Steve, obviously if he's not too busy, whatever the case might be, he'll take the time to watch you. I think that
okay,
that's I mean,
that's
obviously you
good.
got to make the trip to New York, but that's pretty
Yeah,
transparent if you ask me.
yeah, yeah. But that's still good though. You get access to them, and because ultimately they're the only feedback that matters, isn't it? So
Bingo, man. I
if you can
mean,
get that,
it's crazy. You see people argue in the comments all the time, and people talk about who they like or who they dislike, and it's fun. Like
yeah,
that's a sport
it
of
is.
it, but the business side of it for us is making the right decisions,
Yeah,
going the
exactly.
right directions with things.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But I'll not keep you too much more. I've just got some like quick fire questions to finish with,
Let's do
just to
it.
see. So best cheap meal, favorite cheap meal?
Favorite cheat meal? Cheeseburger. I don't know why it's always a
Yeah,
cheeseburger, but sometimes
Five
it's easy.
Guys.
I like Five Guys. It's not a favorite though.
I feel like that's like the IFBB Pro go to, like the Five Guys with double fries.
5 years ago, it was when it was like $50 cheaper.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's expensive. Yeah, that
Now,
is
now I
true.
can go. I can go to a gourmet place. I can take my lady somewhere fancy, and it's the
Yeah,
same price.
yeah. Who's got the best physique right now in the league? Any
Keon,
division?
Keon,
Keon. Yeah,
Keon.
for sure. Do you think will he? Do you think he'll push up in the Open?
To say that he won't, I definitely think he will. I definitely think that he will. But
Yeah.
once again, he's a methodical type of person.
Okay.
I don't think that he would rush or make any kind of
And he's
hasty
still
decision.
young, isn't he?
Yeah. He's only a few years older than me.
Yeah, yeah, and he's plenty of time. Best physique in history.
In history. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, you can't dispute that. Yeah, that's good. And then for the cheap meal, sweet or salty?
Whew, I'm a salty guy. I'm a really
Yeah,
really salty guy.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's I think most bodybuilders would say that because they're so used to eating so much food, they just
yeah.
want that. Like, there's definitely part of it in my head, anyways. Like, I want the salty because I know I can get some protein.
If I'm gonna cheat on my diet, like, and that's the thing, like, I have it, like, I mean, I make my own diet, so I guess that makes it easy.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
if I'm gonna cheat on my diet, like, it's not gonna be a piece of cake or some cookies
yeah,
or something.
yeah,
It's gonna
yeah,
be a
for
whole
sure.
meal.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, get a big one in.
That's it.
Well, yeah, that's perfect. That's all I've got. I know you've got your coaching website, don't you?
Yeah,
Um,
it's jaredkeys.com.
jaredkeys.com. Yeah, that's perfect. And then YouTube, Jared Fitness.
Yes, yeah. I think it's just Jared Fitness or Jared
Yeah,
Keys bodybuilder.
yeah, perfect. So if anyone does watch this, make sure to make sure to go and check those out and follow him and check out his progress. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks so
Appreciate you,
much.
Mike.
Honestly, great talking to you.
Yeah, man.
This was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, bro. I'd love to, follow up one day in the future too if you want to,
Yeah,
man.
if we ever blow up, I will be promoting you to the hills for being the
I
first one
appreciate it.
on. So you'll be coming with me if I make it.
Shoot me anything you want me to share or anything, and I'll
Yeah,
send it
for
out.
sure. For sure. Thank you so much.
Anytime, bro. Nice to meet you, man.
You too. Have a good night.
Hey, you as well.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you want to follow along with Jared, his YouTube is Jared Fitness. His Instagram is Jared Keys Bodybuilding. And if you want coaching or things along those lines, you can check out his website at jaredkeys.com. Thanks for listening.